As you know, Elijah started out with screaming and banging on things to communicate his wants and desires, especially during mealtime because he's a very hungry boy. The key here is not to yell and give negative reinforcement for the behavior. So when he bangs and screams, I'm not saying, no, don't do that. Rather, I'm ignoring that behavior and instead demonstrating with a very clear, calm model what I do expect. The important part is to remember that you're teaching cause and effect. So, right after my models, I give the food. I didn't expect him to do it first. I didn't keep repeating it. I like two models because one usually gets their attention, and the second is where they're actually looking and listening intensely to learn. And then immediately after, you give that reward, you give that desired object or food or whatever it is. More, please, Mama. More blueberry. Blueberry. Now, I want to be clear. This did not happen overnight. Every child learns differently at different paces, but Elijah did start to get it. I think it took about 3 weeks for him to start using the sign after we consistently used that and many other signs throughout our day. The other thing I want to point out is that it looks like he's clapping. However, as you know, babies don't have the same motor skills as you and I as adults. So we know that this means more because of the context. This is called approximation. Typically, when we say approximation, we're thinking of when a child uses a word consistently with meaning that is not the same exact word, such as baba for bottle. However, it's close. They're starting to get it. It's when their skills are still developing. Same thing for physical skills. He's using his hands to communicate, but he doesn't have the motor skills to do the more sign exactly how I do. So this is a close, consistent, meaningful representation of that sign. All done. You want more or all done? This is overgeneralization. Once he got the sign for more, he was using it for everything. Clearly here, he did not like getting his saline drops in his nose, and he wanted it to be all done, which is another sign we were modeling for him. However, he continued to use the sign more. And that wasn't the only one. We were also using sign language to say things for play and no and eat and drink and a bunch of other signs. Wanna go play car? Play. Let's go play, please. No, Elijah. No, thank you. Now, I don't have videos of every single instance. It's very hard to get a good video while you're living life, but he shortly developed this waving motion after the more sign, and we were trying to figure out what it meant. Well, coincidentally, we started to discover in the varying contexts that this waving motion was used to sign all done. It was used to sign play. And then he started using it to also kind of indicate no, because we usually shake our finger for no. To add to that, he also started waving hello and goodbye like this. So now you have 4 different meanings for the same motion. Once again, overgeneralization and approximation were making it difficult to understand all the time exactly what he wanted. I couldn't bring myself to upload a picture of him screaming. I just can't do that. But that led to tantrums and frustration for both of us. Eat, please, Mama. Eat, please. You want more? I want eat. More, eat, please. As you can see here, and as I've spoken about, we started to implement a picture board to help support his communication when he was frustrated. So we started with one of the easiest ways to implement it is during mealtime. It's consistent, repetitive, you eat multiple times throughout the day, and it's something that I know he knows how to communicate fairly well with his more sign. So now I'm just adding on to that more sign to show him another way to communicate his desires in the same context. So just modeling, pointing, and he started to touch it himself within just 2 days.
¿Qué quieres? I want, you want agua? Agua. Agua. Yeah. You want eat? Eat, please, Mama. Eat more egg. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. You eat. You eat.
I really want to show you what this looks like in real life. So that's why these clips are here, to show you that it looks a little different every time. Sometimes I hold up the board. Sometimes I just pull off one picture and I'm pointing to it and talking to him after he has already even gotten the food, because it's not about expecting him to do it himself. It's about showing him and teaching him, hey, look, you're eating. This says eat, and you can use multiple modalities at the same time. It's not too much. It's called bombardment, which is a good thing. As you can see in this clip, I used the picture and I used sign language and I used verbal language, all three at the very same time. And he's looking and he's listening, and it worked.
Yummy. Your turn. What do you want? I want. You want agua? Agua?
Now, 2 things here. Number 1, remember to have fun. He wants to engage with you. And so we smile, we laugh. I let him watch me chew and eat. So we do it together, which is also part of the learning process. Number 2, I know a lot of people say, don't ask questions, don't put pressure. And this is not pressure filled. However, as he got better at using the communication board, now I'm giving more pause time, more opportunity for him to use it to tell me more specifically what he wants. I didn't know at this point if he wanted to eat or drink, so I couldn't anticipate his needs. So I simply asked him what he wanted and waited to see if he was ready yet to tell me what he wanted by himself. Now, if you look closely, he did not look at the pictures before he chose the word agua. However, we're still teaching, so he wasn't ready to choose by himself just yet. He was more intrigued with my mouth. However, because he touched agua, I'm still teaching him cause and effect. So I give him the agua. This is the learning process. It's really like a dynamic dance. It's where you're constantly moving and adjusting and working with the flow of what you're seeing and hearing.
Ball. Oh, try again. Throw! Yay, Shasha! Okay, what do you want? Help, Mama. Help me. I help you. Good job. We got the ball. Ball. Throw. Mama, help. Help. Help me. I help you get the balls.
So even though we started with meal times, I was also using the file folders with the pictures in other contexts and activities. So he loves his balls. He loves to throw them. So here we were practicing looking at the pictures to not only throw and request for the ball, but also he couldn't reach them at the edge of the chair after he threw them. So this was a perfect repetitive opportunity to practice asking for help, which is actually super beneficial in a lot of other areas when something gets stuck somewhere or he needs help from something. So as you can see, sometimes he would look and touch it himself. Sometimes I would take it off of the file folder, present it in front of his eyes, repetitive models, and then give him help. So this was an excellent opportunity for him to learn. And even till this day, he asks for help, which is such a great tool to have, because kids need a lot of help with a lot of things.
Yogurt. Ooh.
Once again, as a parent, when you pull out your phone to record, it's really hard. So I don't have great videos, but here are a few examples of how Elijah started to really vocalize and babble more. He was getting so much more confident with moving his mouth and his tongue and his lips. So you can see he's experimenting mostly on his own when I wasn't communicating to him and when we weren't engaging together. When he was off playing by himself, he was taking everything that we were learning and he started babbling and talking even more with verbal speech. This only supports the research. Support your children's language, support their speech and communication with any and all means necessary. I promise it works. That's it for today, but thank you so much for coming. Bye.